in Crystal Chronicles where you can't leave like the bubble for too long, or like you start to get poisoned.
The
That's
chalice.
me. I gotta get us back on track here, back into the bubble to talk about our
Poor
biggest
Logan.
unanswered Switch 2 questions. It's our headline topic on this week's episode because there was a lot of info in that 2-minute trailer last week, but even more that we don't know. I think it raised more questions than actually gave us answers, and that's an exciting place to be. And so we have a list here of a ton of questions we have about Switch 2. The first of which is price and pre-order info, because we don't know how much this thing is going to cost. We don't know when we'll be able to pre-order it. If it was like last time, pre-orders will go live right after the Nintendo Direct in April. That's what happened in 2017 with Switch 1. And Reb, you talked to some analysts about what price we can expect, and they all gave you a very similar answer.
They sure did. So I did the rounds right after this thing was announced and asked like all my analyst contacts a bunch of questions. There's a bunch of articles on IGN.com you can read, and there's one specifically entitled "How much will the Nintendo Switch 2 cost?" Analysts weigh in. I can speak, and there's a bunch of like additional info in there about like why they think what they think, and some sort of the factors that could vary it. But by and large, everybody, their initial response was probably $400, like just straight up.
Wow.
Everybody said around 400. Several of them said it could go as high as 500 depending on certain factors, but they were basing all of their predictions that they're making for, they have clients that they sell data to or whatever. Their actual important jobs, not answering my emails. But their predictions are all based on $400. And so I was surprised, because normally when I email a bunch of analysts, I don't get such a resounding chorus of the exact same answer from everybody. And that kind of makes me inclined to think it might be $400. Who can say?
That's where I've had it pegged at.
It seemed like the sweet spot for me from the beginning. I think that's really where they want to keep it. Just I look at the rest of the market with the PlayStations at 500 and then the Series S cheaper, but I think that 400 is going to be the sweet spot that people will be willing to pick this thing up. I wonder if it'll be bundled with a game though, or if that's just 400 out of the box with nothing. Because
I think it's going to be 400 out of the box. I do think we're going to see like some sort of like bundle with Mario Kart that will maybe be, I don't know, like something to do with that, because Seth every year does the Black Friday bundle with Mario Kart and the Switch. I could see them doing like a $400 Black Friday sale bundle with Mario Kart and Switch, and then have it.
I actually wanted to ask all of you about this. Is Mario Kart a launch game? Are we all very sure of that? Because we actually don't know that for sure yet. You think so, Ryan?
I feel confident. Yeah.
I think so. I think there are two options in my brain right now for killer apps to launch with the Switch 2, and Mario Kart 9 is one of them. The other being Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Those are my two ideas for what will be the killer app. The only reason why I say Metroid Prime 4 is because the series is starting to pick up steam. It's been selling better than it has in the past, and this could be a way for them to really put the spotlight on a new Metroid Prime game and make sure that it sells. If the Switch 2 launches and Metroid Prime 4 is a launch title, there's a lot of people who are going to pick it up and is like, I've got the new console. This is the big Nintendo game. I want this. So, and they'll probably pick it up.
As a huge Metroid fan, I admire your optimism there.
Yes.
I don't know if the general public will agree, but I will be seated day one for that, no matter what. But yeah, no, it feels like Mario Kart to me. Like that feels like the one that sort of like transcends the hardcore gamer and the casual gamer, and it'll get a bunch of people in. I feel like $400 is going to push a lot of people away right now.
Really?
I feel like, yeah, I feel like $349.99 is like is the peak, and maybe there's a $400 version that comes with Mario Kart. Like there's some bundle at launch that I could see happening. They'll find some way to package some stuff together to get you in there day one, get a little more money out of you. But I don't know. Like it's odd because like the regular Switch has been $300 for a really long time, but I don't think. How do I phrase this correctly? I'm not saying it's not worth that, but it feels crazy to me that it never really got like it got a little bit of a price drop here and there, like around Black Friday and stuff like that. But I can't imagine they're not making a ton of money off of that system. And I can't speak to what the tech is inside of the Switch 2, but it feels like at $350 they can still make profit off the console. Nintendo historically like doesn't really try to sell their consoles at a launch, but they do make a bunch of money back in peripherals and games. Obviously, software is key for them, but like they've never really gone like above the limit for pricing people out and making sure that like kids can get in on the system, that it makes for a gift for like a family member, or like it just, I don't know, 400 feels high for Nintendo. I'm happy to be proven wrong, or I won't be happy because it means I have to spend 50 more bucks.
Spend
But
more money.
The only reason
Ryan,
yeah, whatever.
may
You can
I-
all yell at me.
may I argue
Just
with
take
you?
turns.
Can I
Yes.
argue with you?
Yeah, take turns. Just go
Is
for
that
it.
So I believe the conventional, you all correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the conventional wisdom was that hardware is generally sold at a loss or close
9
to
times
it.
out of 10.
It usually
Yeah.
is for like PlayStation and Xbox.
Isn't
Like
Nintendo
that's
the one
Yeah,
time out of 10 or
I-
doesn't?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact, and I don't know if the Switch is or not. Like,
Mhm.
but I would be shocked if they were making profit off this thing. And to sort of go along with that, a lot of the analysts I spoke to in talking about the 400 price said that one of the things that could actually make it go even higher than that, like as high as 500, is the availability and price of components. And they said that I didn't have to look up and say who said this, but there was at one point a mention that one of the reasons it may have been delayed to this year was actually to ensure availability of parts so that they could keep it at a $400 price point, because if they had released it last year due to various things not being available or not being able to get in large enough numbers, they wouldn't have had enough supply, and they also might have had to charge more for it. So I think that is going to be like the thing that pushes it up to 400, and then but then also the OLED's 350, right?
Yes.
Am I-
Yes.
Yes,
and
the
I
OLED's
think that
350
might-
currently.
devalue the Switch 2 a little
Mhm.
bit if they sold it at 350, because they'd basically be saying this is worth exactly as much as an OLED,
I mean,
and
it's
therefore
all of,
it's similar. I don't know.
everything under that is going to have to drop in price. Like there's no way they can launch. I think
You
even
tell
if-
Nintendo that.
No, I know. Yeah, historically, the company that like I think Mario Kart's been like $60 for like 15 years now. So like,
Mhm.
yeah, they, occasionally they'll bundle it with, or not occasionally, annually they'll bundle it for Black Friday. But no, like historically, their software stays pretty much locked at the same price. It very rarely gets a significant price drop. They've done like the player's choice labels and stuff in the past to sort of get like a kind of greatest hits type of thing out there, to get people in. But I feel like if whatever the Switch 2 launches at, that's going to be when the Switch 1 prices for the
Yeah.
actual consoles come down. Like I don't know how much lower the Switch Lite can go, but it seems
Sell it
it
for
seems
99
crazy
bucks.
to me.
Why not? Like they
Mhm.
sold
Yeah,
the 2DS for like $100 with Mario Kart 7 when the Switch was out. Like they were just giving those things away. So yeah, I think that you could see a Switch Lite drop to 99 bucks this Black Friday.
The top loading NES, which I believe launched like pretty well into the Super NES generation, was like $49.99 with a game at one point. Like
That's
this,
crazy.
there is there. I mean, first of all, if you drop the Switch 1 price too low, I think people will be like, well, why do I even need a Switch 2? So that's a different dilemma that they have right now. But I think that's how you overtake the PS2. You drop the Switch Lite to like $99, and you get those numbers up. Take down Sony once and for all on the Wikipedia article for best-selling video game systems.
Based on my memory, I believe they generally wait about 6 months after a console launch, 6 to 8 months after a console launch, to drop the price of their previous one. We saw that with the DS after the 3DS dropped. Those suckers dropped to what, 129, 119, something like that. They got super cheap and they flew off the shelves as fast as they did at launch when they dropped to that price. So I fully expect to see Switch OLEDs probably drop to 300, maybe like 275 or something, some weird number, 6 to 8 months after the Switch 2 launches.
Yeah.
Jada, are you at 400 for Switch 2?
Oh yeah, that's where I pegged it. I pegged it at 400. 450 tops, I think I said on a previous episode, but 400 was been my sweet spot.
I hope not.
I can't see it going 450. Like it's just that just puts it out of impulse purchase for so many people. I understand everything's more expensive now, but like like Netflix is $300 a year now if you use the HD
Oh
or
my
4K or
gosh.
whatever. Like, it's
Yeah.
absurd.
Mhm.
Like Sony did price increases for PlayStations this time around, which was
Yes.
Mhm.
I've never seen anything like that before.
But
So
that's
I don't
something too.
know.
I mean, with the price of everything going up, Nintendo might want to head because a price increase is very bad press, and so being able to just sort of head it off and be like, okay, it's 400, it's 450. That's
Yep.
just what it is,
Yeah.
and it's going to seem expensive to people, but we're not going to raise the price on it like committedly.
Right.
Also,
Mhm.
hate to bring this up again, but these mysterious tariffs that may or may not be
Yep.
happening, who knows how that's going to impact things?
hmm
Yeah.
Yep.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'm go for it, Brian.
I was gonna say Matt Pescatella, who works
Circana.
used to be known as MPD, is now Circana. Brilliant analyst, dude, has just like broken down cost, value, price
Yeah.
increases. Just a great guy. He likes pineapple and pizza, so I'm not 100% in love with him, but he's great otherwise. Love you, Matt. No, he pointed out that the tariffs could mean a huge software uh, increase for physical media as well as digital media, because a lot of that stuff is being printed out of Mexico, and yeah, that's an issue
Yep.
too. So I don't know, a lot of factors. The I 400 feels crazy high for a new Nintendo system. Maybe I'm old school, but like it just feels like a tad too high,
No, I get that.
unless there's a game bundled in or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally understand that.
Yeah, I just think it's where it's going. I think that things just are more expensive. It could be some sticker shock, but I think it's going to be $3.99 on day one without a game. And I do think Mario Kart is the launch game. I was just bringing it up to say we kind of all talked like that was fact last week. Everybody did, just because that's the game they showed with it. We don't know that for
Yeah.
sure. I do think it will end up being the launch game. It just makes a ton of sense as one of the big launch games from Nintendo. But yeah, we'll have to see. Let's talk about the release date, which is another thing that we don't know yet. We just know it's coming out in 2025, but we don't know anything beyond that, except that it's not coming out before April 2nd, because that's when Nintendo is talking to us about it next. Reb, let's start with you. When do you think this thing's coming out?
July. How specific do I have to
July.
get?
I think we should call a specific date if you
Oh
want
my
to.
gosh. Okay, hold on. Let me look at the
4th of
calendar and see
July
what days of the week
weekend.
these are. No.
Holidays.
Let's see. When do they usually release systems? Like a Thursday or Friday, right? Is
So usually
probably
Fridays, but now they release all their
Fridays.
games on Thursdays, so I'm not sure which
like
they're
a
going
like
to
a
do.
Friday release date, but like a midnight release kind of thing on a Thursday. So let's say the Friday, but like with a Thursday midnight release. Let's say, I'll go with Friday, July 18th. Let's go with
Okay.
that.
Nice. I like it. Why July?
I have no confidence in this. Well, I do commit to my theory from last time that so if you look at the tour dates, they're doing like this tour with the Switch 2 with like a bunch of hands-on stuff. They're doing several locations in the United States, but then they're also doing some global locations outside the United States. And the very last tour date is June 1st. So I don't think they release this thing before that tour is over. I think that would be ridiculous. I don't think they're going to do it.
Okay.
I it could release like at the end of June or something. I don't really think Nintendo cares much for other people's video gaming events, but I would be sort of surprised if they dropped it in the middle of the big mess that is SGF. I think they might like at least PR wise recognize that having all of your media people somewhere else and unable to like talk about and write about your system would probably be bad for them.
Mhm.
And so I don't think they'll do that. I mean, that's a little US centric of me, admittedly, but I do think that's something they'll take into account.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I think from the end of June on, it's kind of a free for all. Logan, I know you're going to say something in the fall, but I don't think it goes on that long, all the way to the fall. I think we get it during
Mhm.
the summer sometime. I think maybe as late as August, but I'd be shocked if we had to wait all the way to September. Not because I don't think they would release something in the fall, but just because I think if they were releasing it in September, they wouldn't be having like this direct in April about it. Like they
Mhm.
usually try to have directs for like roughly the next quarter and a half of releases. I think if they were going to do a big direct showing off all of their software for like a September or October release, they would do that direct during the summer. So
Mhm.
that's July, roughly in that ballpark, is my actual real guess. I have no like real confidence in the actual date of July 18th. I was just picking a random day. But if it is that
Mhm.
day, I would like all of the credit. Thank you.
Fair. Fair. Yeah, I'm torn because last week I was feeling September, but I have thought about it more in the week since and agree that this whole timeline just feels really early for them to be talking about it if they're then going to sit on it for 5 months and not release it from that April to September window. Other companies have done that. I think the big Sony PS5 showcase was in the summer, and then that thing came out in November. But Nintendo just doesn't really roll that way anymore. You're right, Reb. They announce things that are coming out 2 months later. They're very quick about it. We didn't know about Mario Wonder until June, and it was in our hands by October. They're very snappy nowadays about these things. So I think I'm with you that June or July is feeling right. I like September just because September's also marks the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. So maybe that's just when they put out the new 3D Mario is in September instead.
Yeah,
And
I like this. This is a good theory.
With the system already, it could be. Yeah, maybe I'll stick with that, and maybe it will be June. I'll say Thursday, June 12th. Thursday, June 12th will be my official pick.
Dang, right in the middle of SGF. That's so rude to us, Logan.
It will be rude.
That's going to hurt.
But we'll make it work. Yeah.
That's going to hurt.
I'm sick that week, so I won't be at Summer Games Fest.
You're sick.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He'll be playing
Yeah.
Metroid Prime, apparently. I don't think so. We'll talk about that. We'll talk
I hope
about
you
that
feel
a little
better.
bit. Yeah. Jada, what's your date prediction?
I'm going earlier than everybody. I think Nintendo is keen to launch this in the middle of their tour dates because I think they want to get the biggest markets in, which would be US, Japan, Europe, which are all happening April to May, early first week of May. And so I think that they do these press appointments, they launch it at the end of May, and then all these appointments that are happening at towards the end of May, early June, I believe is some of the last ones, right? I think obviously like
June
Seoul
1st is the
May,
last one.
Yeah, as of right now, it's been announced. So I think it comes out mid-May, actually.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Okay.
I think they drop it middle of May. They get the experience for and press from the major markets.
Right.
Then they drop the console, so people are then now experiencing it and actually talking about it. You have the normal consumers talking about it and playing it, posting videos, etc., and that kickstarts even more people wanting to go to these experiences. Granted, all these, the tickets will probably have been sold out by then, but it'll drive just even more hype around that. So I am going to say May 16th. I'm going with May 16th.
Ooh, Jada,
Okay.
we're so close.
Wow.
What's yours, Brian?
Because that is
I was gonna say May 9th.
Okay.
that's-
Wow,
God.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not to
Yeah.
do Price's Right rules and try to get a 100, because I'm sure you guys will all beat me on the actual price, where I will be wrong. But no, I think that the hands-on tour thing is just for the general public to play these games. I think that can happen while the system's out. I think it benefits them to have it while the system's out because people can impulsively go, "That was awesome. Let's walk to the store or get in the car and go buy this thing. I had so much fun with it." We saw they did a like hands-on tour for the Switch 1 while it was already out. They did one that summer, and so I could see that being repeated. Last week, Logan, I was in the same boat as you, where I felt like it was a fall thing for a while, but now it feels like they're going to do the big blowout in April. They're going to roll out the hands-on tour, and they're going to say, "Hey, and it's available for pre-order today, and you can pick it up on Friday, May 9th." And yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. And then they'll have some big games ready to go for for the summer and the fall. There's the weird Grand Theft Auto 6 shaped elephant in the room, which either has nothing to do with their plans or will just become a money and time sink for everybody else in the industry. I think that's more of a problem for the other consoles and anybody else making a third party game or a first party game. Or maybe that thing will come to Switch. Who knows, right? But right now, I think that like they, you don't think so? You don't think it'll be on Switch too?
No way.
No.
I don't think so.
Who knows?
Good joke, Brian.
we could dream. We could dream.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I do think that like the runway is pretty clear for them in the sort of spring to summer transition area, right? Like I think the month of May feels good because it's just they're not really going up against anything. They're not really going up against any other hardware this year that we know about. Like Sony got their mid-gen hardware refresh out last year. It did whatever it did. Xbox has said they're not really doing that, although there were some leaks around that alleged being a thing. There's the rumored Microsoft Xbox handheld thing that we've been hearing about forever. I don't think that poses a big threat to their plans. Maybe they'll do a refresh in the Steam Deck. Same thing. Not a big issue for Nintendo. I think that like the May area feels really good. It gets them, it gets people like getting something to buy before they go traveling all summer. Maybe they'll figure out a way to get some sort of trade-in program for Switch One. Not sure how that's going to all work, but yeah. So I'm going with Friday, May 9th, 2025. $349.99.
That's a beautiful picture you're painting. I really hope that it's true.